Alright, next superhero movie on my list of superhero movies that I've not seen is Constantine. I don't know anything about this movie. Well, I mean, it stars John Constantine, who's like a paranormal investigator, demon fighter guy. I've never read any of the Constantine stories. I've seen the character show up in other books, and I've seen him in other the DC animated things, but I've never actually seen or read any of the actual Constantine stuff. So I don't really know much about this movie. I remember it came out back in 2005. I don't remember how well it was received. I don't know what the general consensus of this film is, so I have really no expectations. The Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2 and Catwoman I had heard were bad. They looked bad, too. I don't even remember the marketing for this. I don't recall anyone at any time ever saying anything about this movie. Positive, negative, neutral, or otherwise. So, hey, going in, clean slate, no expectations. Just let the movie wash over me. So, the film description: globe-trotting misfit and renegade occultist John Constantine, a man who has literally been to hell and back, enters this world to help a skeptical policewoman investigate the mysterious suicide of her twin sister in Ellipsis. Where'd I put my controller? Is there a way to read the rest of this? No. Good job, Tubi app on my PlayStation 4. Talk amongst yourselves. We're gonna read the end of this. How was your day? Good, I hope. Mine was fine. Worked. I do QA. Found some bugs, which is my job, so that's nice. Developer wasn't too thrilled with that, but them's the breaks. Okay. Help a skeptical policewoman investigate the mysterious suicide of her twin sister in Constantine. One word? One word! You couldn't fit one more word. Starring Keanu Reeves. I do recall Keanu. I'm looking at a picture of him holding a cat. So there's a cat in this movie. So it's going to be really good. Well, there were cats in Catwoman, and that movie was not very good. We're batting 0 so far. Amazing Spider-Man, bad. Amazing Spider-Man 2, bad. Catwoman, bad. So, I have high hopes for Constantine. Keanu Reeves, Rachel Weisz. I can't pronounce your name, sir. I'm sorry. Jimon Honsu? You're very cool. I should learn to pronounce your name. I'm guessing it's Shia LaBeouf. Because, again, it goes ellipses. Shia LaBeouf, yeah. Oh, Tilda Swinton. What a heck of a cast. Alright, so, Constantine. I am so excited. But I can hide it. I can hide my excitement. Along with the rest of my emotions. So far in this series, I've watched 4 movies, including Constantine. The first three were bad movies. Constantine, on the other hand, is a bad movie. It does not bring me joy to say this. But yeah, Constantine, not good. It's not even bad in a particularly interesting way. Like, I don't really want to talk about it that much. It's just like, it's bad. That's why no one talks about this movie. Now, people talk about Catwoman because it's bad, but it's bad in kind of an interesting, fascinating way that's fun to talk about. Heck, my Catwoman review was like 37 minutes long. I could have kept going. Constantine, on the other hand? Nah. But, you know, I better talk about it now, because I'm going to forget about it very quickly. So, globe-trotting misfit and renegade occultist. He's not globe-trotting. He does not trot the globe. This movie seems to take place in well within one city and seemingly within the same few blocks. So, not that that really matters, but so why doesn't this movie work? I hear you ask, with great interest. There are many reasons. I think one of the main reasons this film doesn't work is I don't like or care about any of the characters in this movie, even though they're mostly all played by really cool actors. People who I normally enjoy watching, like Tilda Swinton and Keanu Reeves. Peter Stormare makes an appearance in this. Rachel Weisz, Jimon Honsu, and I really should figure out how that guy's name is pronounced. Let's talk about Constantine, John Constantine, the titular Hellblazer. He's just unlikable. He's a miserable, mean, rude jerk, and I don't like him. Which is not to say you can't... He doesn't have a reason to be that way. He does. And which is not to say you can't make a movie with such a protagonist. You can. Imagine, if you will, a plate. And on this plate is food. Food that you like. Like maybe sushi. I don't know. Maybe you hate sushi. I like sushi. Maybe you're one of those weird peoples who just really likes chicken pot pie. But this plate is covered with food that you like. Or candy. It's a plate of candy and junk food. It's got cookies and pudding and those cherry sours. They're assorted fruit sours. And gummy worms. Maybe even the sour gummy worms. It's just covered in lots of food that you like. Cake, ice cream, whatever. Nachos. Tacos? Something. This plate is covered in food that you like. Sounds attractive. Sounds fun. Might not be healthy, but it's going to be enjoyable, yeah? Yeah. Now, imagine... featured in the center of this plate, piled with food that you like. Right in the center, right in the middle of all of the num-nums, is a disembodied asshole. Still hungry? But all this wonderful, yummy, yummy food. I mean, you can ignore the disembodied asshole in the middle of the plate of food you otherwise enjoy, right? No? The disembodied asshole in the middle of the plate of food that you'd otherwise enjoy is kind of a deal breaker? Yeah. Yeah. And so it goes with Constantine. There's a lot of elements of the film that I liked, and I thought if it could have been done, could have been very fun. There are demons, and there are fun rules governing how demons work in the real world, and how you kill them, and how you navigate getting to hell and back. That stuff's kind of fun, but if I don't like the main character, then it doesn't really matter. And that, I think, is probably the #1 problem of the film, is Constantine is just an unpleasant, unlikable jerk. And no one else in the movie is particularly interesting. Shia LaBeouf plays his, I'm probably mispronouncing his name too, plays his driver. Why does he have a driver? Can't he drive himself? Does he help with anything? Not really. I mean, he does assist him at the end of the movie, which is nice, but otherwise you really could have just cut the character out of the movie, honestly. There's Jimon Honsu, who plays the proprietor of a bar that seems like it could be interesting, but they don't really do anything with it, and you don't really understand the guy. I mean, it's Jimon Honsu, who's just naturally cool anyway, but I don't really get their relationship. So the stakes and the setup are actually kind of interesting. It's revealed about 20-30 minutes into the movie that John Constantine is dying of lung cancer, so he's probably going to die in the next year or so. Not only is he going to die, but he's going to hell when he dies. Well, that would make anyone kind of an unpleasant person to be around. I can understand that. But at the 30-minute mark of the movie, when you find out that this guy is not just damned, but double damned, damned to die and damned to hell, as the audience, you really want to go, oh no, that's terrible, not our buddy John. We like John, and how's he gonna get out of this pickle? Instead, at the 30-minute mark of the movie, when we learn this, the audience goes, I would blow if it were me, but not me, so... Same thing with, Rachel Weisz's character. There's a cool setup here where she has a twin sister who commits suicide, and by the rules of this movie, if you commit suicide, you're automatically damned to hell. And so she thinks she's like, my sister wasn't suicide, she was murdered! And that's an interesting jumping off point. And then she finds out that demons are real, and then she's like, no, actually... you find out more of John Constantine's backstory. He could, see demons when he was young, and his parents basically made his life miserable, get electroshock therapy and stuff because everything thought he was crazy. And so he killed himself, which sent him to hell, but the paramedics revived him, so he got pulled right back out of hell, which is why he's damned to hell now, because he committed suicide once. So what he's doing is he's trying to rebalance the ledger, so to speak, by deporting demons back to hell to hopefully get into God's good graces so he can go to heaven, which is not how that works, which the angel Gabriel likes to rub in his face, played by Tilda Swinton, by the way. Again, another actor who I love and is very cool, but the character just... She's there at the very front of the movie, or, well, like the 30-minute mark, and then she's missing until the very end, which makes the audience go, well, she's the bad guy then, because you don't cast Tilda Swinton for a bit part. She's obviously going to come in as the big bad at the very end, the person behind all the shenanigans that have ensued. And, yeah, spoiler for a 17-year-old movie. that I don't really recommend. Although Rachel Weisz is in a white shirt and wet about half the movie, so if that's enough for you, that's a thing. I mean, she's wet even when she really shouldn't be wet. There's a scene, and I'll talk about this later because it's actually one of the better scenes in the film, where she gets submerged in a bathtub to reactivate her demon-seeing powers, so that she can go to hell real quick and verify that her sister is dead there. I was kind of unclear exactly what that was for. But anyway, they're like, oh no, we need to save our friend, or at least another guy that's in the movie. Again, not totally clear with the relationship. I mean, he seems to be kind of the microchip to the Punisher, you know, kind of the person who provides the fun tools and gadgets, but there isn't really a rapport there. It's just another guy. Like, oh no, he's in trouble, and it cuts immediately to the bowling alley, and I was thinking, wait, I thought they were in, like, John's apartment or something like that. Were they in an apartment above the bowling alley? Because she's still dripping wet. I mean, either that apartment's right in the bowling alley, or they drove away and she just doesn't dry. I don't know. I like as I mentioned, I do like the, scratch. I do like the, kind of the lore and how everything works. Basically, Gabriel is, I'm gonna spoil the whole thing here. So, Gabriel is like, hey man, you know that whole thing where, you get to go to, I mean, you commit suicide, you go to hell, but pretty much anything else that you do, you're forgiven if you but believe, and then you go to heaven. Well, says Gabriel, that's not fair. So what I'm going to do is I found out a way to get the devil's son to be born on Earth to start the apocalypse, which will spread fear and horror, and that will make humans really appreciate stuff so that they really deserve to go to heaven after facing all that crap. Okay, Gabe, sure. Alright. So Gabriel is about to cut the Satan Jr. out of Rachel Weisz's wet white t-shirt, which she's wearing through half the movie. And Constantine says, okay, I'm going to slit my wrist and immediately die, which is pretty fast. Never slit my wrists before, but I imagine if I did, it would take more than 20 seconds to bleed to death. But what do I know? Not going to try it. Don't recommend you do either. So he kills himself so that he can barter with, so Satan shows up, played by Peter Stormare, which is neat, and says, hey, John, good to see you. I've been waiting for you, bucko. And he says, yeah, Gabriel's in the other room with the spear that stabbed Jesus, and she's about to have your son born on Earth so that he can, you know, start the apocalypse. And he's like, by gum, that's my job. So he runs in the other room, sends his son back to hell, rips Gabriel's wings off, which makes her human, I guess. Then comes back and says, okay, I guess I owe you, John. What do you want? And he says, I want Rachel Weisz's sister to go to heaven. And he's like, okay, fine. He's like, alright, buddy boy, you're coming to hell with me. But God says, nope, that was a noble sacrifice. So John Constantine is coming to heaven. And Peter Stormare Devil says, nope, I'm going to yank the cancer out of his chest so he doesn't die, even though that's not what was killing him. What was killing him was splitting his wrist. But, you know, we won't... that's a nitpick. And so Constantine is alive, so he's not going to heaven, but he's not going to hell, so maybe there's a chance the devil could get at him later. I'm like, there's some cool stuff here. I like that. A shame I just don't care about any of the characters, because otherwise this would all be very cool. And then Gabriel's like, hey, you should, like, murder me and revenge, because that would probably send her, because she's human now, so if she gets killed, she gets sent to heaven, so she's like, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me, kill me. And he's like, nah, and punches her in the face, and she's like, ow. And he's like, you'll live with pain. And she's like, you could have just shot me. That would hurt too. And she's like standing in a pool, because there's lots of water in this movie. And as John walks away, she like walks backwards and kind of ducks out of frame into the pool. I guess Gabriel's like, I'm just going to stay here and do the backstroke. Not a good movie. Mainly, again, because it needed some work on the characters. None of the characters are likable. Not that all the characters are actively unlikable, but I just don't care. There's just nothing to grab onto. There's just no character. There's no relationship. I don't care about any of the characters or what they're doing. John Constantine got on my bad side throughout the first 30 minutes of the movie. You understand why he's sullen and bitter, but maybe give him a wry sense of humor, because, I mean, he's mean to people that he has no cause to be mean to, like he won't hold the elevator door, he cuts in line, he torments a spider, and the spider's not doing anything, it's just crawling across the desk, and he, like, captures it and blows smoke at it, and, you know, captures it under a glass filled with his cigarette smoke. I'm like, dude, that's just mean. Don't do that. I'm like, he's a big old jerk face. Except when but then the script says, suddenly you're helpful, and it's like, okay. Characters like that, you have to, it's really hard to make those the center of the story. I mean, you either make this Rachel Wise's story, her character is the protagonist, and John Constantine is a secondary character. You know, that's one of the reasons why the first Pirates of the Caribbean movie worked so well, is Captain Jack Sparrow was not the main character of the movie, which is why the later sequels didn't work, because they tried to make him this center of the movie. It doesn't work. So if John Constantine wasn't the center of the movie, you could get away with him just being an unlikable jerk that our heroes have to put up with, because, you know, he knows what he's doing. Or it's more difficult, but you make him, you know, sullen and bitter, but, you know, maybe with a wry sense of humor or something that's at least relatable or fun, or he's at the very least good-hearted. The portrayals of Constantine I've seen is he's been doing this demon stuff for so long that he's not fazed by anything. He's just tired of all of it. He's had enough of it. He's like, ugh, demons. Okay, you know, let's save the world. It's a real pain in the ass, but let's do it. You know, and also every render. Again, I haven't read any of the Hellblazer books, but all the renderings of John Constantine I've seen is he wears a white shirt and tie with a beige trench coat. Black trench coat in this movie. Well, it's not even a trench coat, it's just a coat. Not a big deal, but why? So yeah, not a good movie, but let me end with some things I did like, because there were things that I did like. There's the drowning Rachel Wise scene, which basically she has to be fully submerged in a bathtub to do... like I said, I don't remember. A lot of it was unclear. A lot of the dialogue is... either it's not well written or the dialogue is muttered and I couldn't hear it, because I was unclear about a lot of the finer points in this movie. Anyway, so she needs to be submerged and held underwater so that she can either go to hell to check something or get her demon vision powers back or something. So she's like laying in the tub, and John's like, okay, lean back, and just gonna, you know, he puts his hand on her sternum to, you know, hold her in place, and the music's da 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 da. We're holding our main actor underwater. She might drown. Oh, so scary. Da da da. And then it just suddenly cuts. The music just cuts out, and she's like underwater. you know, John's hand on her chest. She's like, her hands are up on the tub going, dum, 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 dum. She's just kind of drumming her fingers, going like, okay, what now? It's just a really fun moment until she starts running out of there and panicking, and then the tub explodes. And that's a fun scene. I like that scene. There's another scene where she gets kidnapped by Gabriel, I guess, who's invisible. And she just gets yanked through a wall, and then through the wall behind it, and continuing on throughout the entire building, and John's chasing after her. That's a really fun scene where he's chasing after her. She's being, she's going through wall after wall, and he's running after her until she goes crashing out a window and out into the night. And that was a fun sequence. There's a great bit where there's just a room full of demons, and he had already stuffed a crucifix into the water supply. So he goes, "Okay, everyone out, or I'm deporting you all to hell." No one? No one? Okay. Pulls a chair up, stands on the chair, flicks his lighter, turns on the sprinklers. Sprinklers come down, all the demons are like, "Oh shit, holy water!" Yeah. And now they're weak and he can blast him with his crucifix shotgun. That's fun. I like that. There's a kitty. The kitty's cute. Like that. That's about it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised no one talks about this movie. There's just, it's bad, but not interesting. It's just not really fun to talk about. So I'm gonna go. Yeah. Bye.